together. And we make a raw vegan soup and salad duet with our guest chef, Adriana Rella from Blue Pearl Café.
All right, hi guys. So we're gonna start with the kale Waldorf salad. So I've already washed my kale and I'm just gonna de-stem it a little bit for like the bigger chunks. And then I'm gonna shred it as much as I can by hand. You could do this in the food processor as well with like a shredder attachment. I'm not getting the full stem, just enough. So it's not huge chunks. And this is one head of kale. You could do more or less depending on how hungry you are, but I like one full head for myself. And now I'm just gonna roll it all up.
I love the wood bowl you have.
Oh yeah, it's from IKEA. I wish it was handmade. Okay. So I have it chopped up into pretty small pieces. You want it to be like bite-sized. Okay. And I'm actually gonna grab a bigger container to marinate it in. I'm just marinating it in celery juice today. So I'll be right back. Okay. I have some celery juice that I just juiced earlier this morning. And I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons to it. You can eyeball this. You just wanna get it wet enough to soften it. And I'm gonna like squeeze that into it. Okay. Now I'm just putting this off to the side. And next I want to bloom my raisins. So I have some golden raisins right here. And I just want to put some juice over them to soften them up. So I have pomegranate juice here. And you just want to cover over the top of it. And then
Adriana,
I'm just adding, yes.
Adriana, how did you end up with pomegranate juice?
We actually, so we make this dish at our cafe. And what we normally use is our Terra juice from our juice company. And that's a mixture of pineapple, carrot, turmeric, and lime. But to make it easier, I just picked pomegranate juice for today. You could really use any juice. I think apple juice would work. We're doing it to soften up the raisins a little bit to make them more palatable.
I mean, did you make the pomegranate juice or did you buy pomegranate juice?
I bought pomegranate juice, yeah.
Okay, just want to be clear.
Yeah. So to that, I'm adding a mixture of mustard powder, pepper, and coriander. It's about 1/4 teaspoon of each. So I'm just gonna add that over the top. And then I also have a clove of garlic that I'm just gonna But through my little garlic press, you can chop it up or mince it. It also works if you just take like the juice and the spices and put them through the blender to get them well incorporated. I'm just here and I'm just going to massage them a little bit so they pick up a lot of that flavor. And I'll set these off to the side to soften a little bit. And then the next step will be to cut up our celery, our red onion, and our green apple. These will all top the salad. So I'm just going to cut about 1/4 of the onion. And I want to kind of chop it pretty fine. This salad is really great when it's all in like really tiny bite-sized pieces. So I'm just going to chop it. This is also a good one to run through the food processor. You can get a dicer attachment, but this works too. Okay, and just to show you, I have them pretty finely diced. And I'll put them off to the side. Everyone who's watching, I apologize for the background noise. Our cafe is currently open, so we have music students for our customers. So sorry about that. Next, I'm going to take my green apple. And I'm going to use about half of this. Again, it's up to you, your personal preference. If you want a little more, you can add more. But I like half. And I'm cutting this. I also want to dice the pieces and get a fairly even amount. Okay. Now I have this in pretty small pieces. And I'm just going to add it to my bowl with the onions. And I'll move on to the celery. So I'm going to take about 2 relatively small stalks. I already washed these, and I'm going to cut off the ugly ends. You can keep the leaves on if you like them. I'm going to take them off today. And the celery, you want to be just as small pieces as the apple and the onion and the kale, just like bite size. So I'm cutting my stalks in half. And then I'm gonna rough chop them. to as small pieces as I can. Okay. And this can also be added to the bowl with the onions and the green apple. Is everybody good so far? Should I slow down?
No, you're doing great. Good
Okay,
speed.
Cool. So I'll put that off to the side. We also want some chopped walnuts on top. These can be in fairly fine pieces. Again, it's up to your personal preference. I'm going to chop them pretty small. It's kind of, I find it easier to, pick them up in a good scoop and get a nice mixture when they're smaller. And this is like 2 tablespoons of cashews. I mean, walnuts, not cashews. And I'll put that off to the side as well. I'm going to stir up my raisins, check on them. They look pretty good. And now it's time for the dressing. So I soaked some cashews and some sunflower seeds. It's about a 1/4 cup of each. You can omit the cashews if you don't eat cashews. Really, you can use any nut you'd like, but this is a nice mixture. It creates like a really smooth consistency. So I just covered them in water. It's about 2 parts water to 1 part seeds and nuts. And I'm going to add this into my blender pitcher. And then I have a little bit of celery juice, about a tablespoon or 2. I have a little bit of cayenne and coriander, about a pinch of each, about a tablespoon of lemon juice, and a date. My dates are pretty small, so I'm using 2. This is up to your personal sweet preference, but I like it relatively sweet for this recipe. And then I just want to blend this up. So I'm going to step away for a second to blend this.
So she's quick in the kitchen, folks. I hope you're keeping up.
So if you don't have a high-speed blender, I would recommend to soak the cashews or the sunflower seeds overnight or for at least a couple of hours. If you do have a high-speed blender, you could just blend them up as is. They don't need to soak too much because it'll still give you the consistency that you want. Okay. Check on that. Here's what it looks like. It's fairly thin. If you like a thicker dressing, you can leave out a little bit of the water. But I'm gonna pour this over my kale now. And I just want to massage it in. I'm gonna use a glove for this.
Okay, so can I ask you a question, Adriana?
Yes.
Just partly I'm asking the question to help people catch up to you, because you're
Sure.
efficient in the kitchen, and that's great, and that's why you work there.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. Um, I'm curious about this recipe itself, right?
Mhm.
Where did this recipe come from?
Okay, yeah. So we wanted to have a salad at our cafe that was approachable and familiar to people who might not be raw or vegan. Um, so we were trying to mimic an actual Waldorf salad and the typical toppings that go on top of it. So you have a little bit of tang from the apple, you have a little bit of bite from the onion, some savoriness from the celery, and some sweetness from the raisins. And then the walnuts help just fill you up a little bit. So yeah, the cashew cream and the sunflower cream we use in quite a bit of recipes. It's just a nice creamy base that is still raw vegan. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. The blender's going.
We can hear you. Okay, so there's a bunch of stories around the Waldorf salad, right?
Uh-huh.
First of all, how the Waldorf salad came into being, which doesn't really apply here, but I was wondering if, who actually did you come up with the recipe? Did you create this? Did somebody give it and then you just follow it, or?
Yeah, so I helped develop it, but I
Good.
worked with a chef who's actually not vegan or raw vegan. He's just very talented. His name is Ted Manko, and he's like a local chef to Pennsylvania. He's worked in a lot of restaurants, but has helped open a lot of vegan ones too. So
Nice.
he helped develop it based on his like non-vegan taste of regular Waldorf dressing.
Exactly. Okay. Really good job.
Thanks. Yeah, and we always choose kale or some leafy greens over romaine or iceberg or anything. We just want to pack in the nutrients here.
And
So
why do you prefer kale?
I personally like the taste of it and the texture. I just like it. Just feels a little bit more hearty for me, more satiating. Um, that's really what it is. We also have spinach at the cafe, but I just like kale. You could really do this with any green though. I bet it would be really good with mustard greens. Add a nice little spicy element.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put this in my bowl now. And we're just about ready to plate it. So what's good about the dressing is also you can use it for other things. Sometimes I put it in some nori wraps. It's like a nice sweet and almost a little bit spicy dressing. So it's really, it just kind of, I haven't had a dressing like it. I feel like most dressings are fairly savory. So now I'm putting all of the things on top. Let me show you. So I have my onions, my celery, and my green apple. And then I have my raisins. I think I'm gonna hold off on the raisins for a second, just let them soak up a little bit more. But they look like they're getting there. Smells really nice. And I'll just put this off to the side. I could put my walnuts on top. And then if you like a little bit more dressing, you can drizzle some of that over the top. All right, and that does it for the salad. Once the raisins are bloomed, I will put them on top. I'm gonna get rid of my scraps real quick. right. Are we all set with the salad? We can move on to the soup.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So for the soup, we're doing a raw carrot soup. So I'm starting with about a pound of carrots. The soup makes about 3 servings, depending on your serving size. I probably have a little bit more than a pound of carrots. I'm going to go ahead and chop off the little tips. I'll just start these. And now I just want the carrots to be cut into smaller pieces just to make it a little bit easier on the blender. So I'm cutting them into about 1-inch pieces. And as I cut, I'll just add them into the blender. The soup is a little bit on the chunkier side, which is nice. You still get the fiber. You could also do it with carrot juice if you'd like, but I like to keep the fiber in there. So now I have all my carrots in the blender, and I'm gonna add 1 can. This is just organic coconut milk. You could use full fat if you like. You could use light, really up to your preference, but I just have the regular amount of fat coconut milk. My can was about 14 ounces. And then I have some ginger here. And I'm going to use about 1 inch or so. If you like a lot of ginger, you can add more. But ginger is not one of the main flavors. So I don't put a lot. And I just cut off, there was some ugly spots. I like to leave the skin on since we're putting it in the blender. It doesn't really matter if the skin's on or off. So I like to keep the skin on. And then next I have some lemon juice that I squeezed earlier. Oops. So it's about 1 tablespoon. Adding that. And then I'm going to take my onions from before. I have another 1/4 piece. And I'm just going to chop it up into a smaller piece and add that into the blender as well.
Okay, and once again, if I can, Adriana,
Yeah.
if I can interrupt you, again, partly to let people keep up with you, but also coconut milk is what's in the blender, yeah?
Yes.
And how did you come by coconut milk?
So I used a can. You could also, instead of using the milk, if you want to scoop out the coconut meat and use the coconut meat and water, you can use that. Really just wanted a creamy element without using too many nuts or seeds. So,
Just curious.
yeah. Okay. So in there I have now carrot, ginger, coconut milk, and onion, and the lemon juice. I want to add my spices in next. So this is just a half teaspoon of coriander, a quarter teaspoon of cayenne, a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon, and a quarter teaspoon of cumin. And I just mix them all together. I'm going to add that as well. And then next, I have here 20 grams of white miso. I really like using white miso. It adds like a nice cheesiness almost to it. So this is 20 grams or a tablespoon or two. I'm just going to add that in. And then next I have 4 ounces of filtered water here that I'm going to add. That'll just help blend the carrots a little bit better and thin it out a little bit. And I have 2 cloves of garlic.
And I'm also getting questions about white miso. Do you know you're buying bottles of or containers of some kind of white miso, or are you guys making miso, or do you know?
So I bought this one. You can get the organic white miso from Whole Foods. We also have a market nearby called Mom's where I get it, but it's not too hard to come by. You can make it yourself. It just takes quite a bit of time to let
Have you
it
ever
ferment.
tried?
Sorry?
Have you ever tried to make miso?
No, but it's on the list. I watched some videos on how to make it, and it seems really awesome. I've also seen videos of people putting garlic into miso and letting
Yes.
it sit for 6 weeks or so, and it just sounds decadent. So
Okay.
yeah, that's definitely on the list. But for now, I just use some store-bought.
Fair enough.
Okay, and then lastly, I just have 2 tablespoons of sunflower seeds. And I'm adding that to it. And now I want to blend this up. So I'm going to step off. Well, I guess I could bring you with me. We'll have to wait in line. There's a smoothie being made. So I will blend this up. While I'm blending, or while I'm waiting, I can check on my raisins, see how they're doing. They're getting a little softer. You can see that they're growing just a little bit. I think blooming the raisins would also be really nice in apple juice if you juice your own apples. But really, you can do any juice you'd like if you just have a little bit of extra. And it's nice to keep them in the fridge, snack on, or to add to salads. I think it makes it a bit easier to digest since they're hydrated. So I'm still gonna hold off on those. And then I'm gonna come to my carrot soup and I'm gonna blend it up. Now we have a blend tech that we're using, and it works pretty well. I think I like the leavening better, something that you can control. Helps to start low and go high.
You have a really cool
Would
sound.
also be good if you add a little bit of parsley or cilantro or some sort of base into it. It's a pretty adaptable soup. So I blended it once, and let's check on the texture here. Hello. Good, how are you? So this is the consistency. It's fairly thick. If you can see that, it's a little bit chunky. So I think I want it a little bit smoother. I'm just gonna go ahead and blend it again. And I'm using the same blender as I used for the dressing. I think you could just add a little bit of extra flavor on it. Lower your waist a little bit.
You have a really cool sounding blender.
I'm sorry?
You have a really cool sounding blender.
I think it's working really hard to blend up all these colors.
Very funny, Brian.
It sounds different on our end.
We have a little cover to try to lessen the noise. Okay. And so here's my carrot soup. I'll show you the consistency. It smells great. I really am getting that garlic. It looks nice and creamy. Here's a really full plate of it. And now I have some chives that I want to add. And I think I'm going to also chop up some seeds and add that. And like I said, if you want to add a little bit of herbs, you can. I bet parsley or cilantro would be great with this. I have chives today. I'm just gonna add those. And then let me get some. I think this would be really nice with pumpkin seeds as well. We don't have pumpkin seeds at the cafe right now, but if you have some time, I would recommend coating some pumpkin seeds in maybe the pomegranate juice mixture from the raisins and putting it in the dehydrator for a second, just to warm it up and candy them a little bit. That would be a really good topping for this. But I'm going to use sunflower seeds. And I'm just going to rough chop these a little bit.
And what kind of nuts are those?
These are sunflower seeds.
Oh, okay.
Just to add a little crunch into it. Since it's a puree, the soup can, you know, it's nice to just add a little texture into it so it's not too much of the same thing. And I'll show you my finished plate. So I made just over a quart from this recipe. This is one lunch-size serving. But if you're eating it with the salad, maybe you want a smaller serving and you can save it. It lasts in the fridge for a few days, but not too long. And so my carrot soup is done. I'm gonna check back on my salad and my raisins. And I guess it's time to add these on top. I have this. And I'll show you that. Pretty full bowl. And we'll get a nice sunny shot of these so you can see how much. Right. So this is what mine looks like.
Wow. It looks amazing.
Thank you.
Very, very delicious looking.
Yeah. Yeah, and this was meant to be like a post-Thanksgiving detox meal. So it just really packs in, the nutrients in there.
It looks very
Fairly,
filling.
yeah, very filling. Fairly small amount of ingredients, so hopefully it's not a lot in your body to process. But yeah, that's that. Does anybody have any more questions?
Great job, Adriana. And I'm really impressed with your camera management skills at the same time while you're cooking or preparing food.
Thank you. I am on my phone, so it's
Yeah,
a little bit easier to navigate than my computer would have been, I think. But thank you. Yeah, I'm actually going to enjoy these for lunch now. I probably can't eat all of it. I know eating raws, you can eat high quantities, but not quite there yet. But yeah, this is a nice hearty meal. I eat the kale Waldorf salad every day for lunch. I just think it's so good. It's super filling, but it doesn't leave me feeling tired and heavy afterwards. Since it's mostly kale, it's just really nice. Get my little energy boost, and I can keep on going with this cafe. So
looks amazing.
How long have you been working in the kitchen, Adriana, or in this restaurant kitchen?
So we started, well, Juice Doctor started 6 years ago, and I joined about a year and a half ago. And so I was working in the kitchen for a long time, over a year, and we do thousands of juices per day, so it's very physically taxing, but that was nice. And then we were set to open this cafe back in March, and as everyone knows, the whole world shut down in March, so we weren't able to do that. But that's okay. It gave us some time to kind of figure things out and maybe do a better job than we would have done. So now I've been at the cafe. We opened August 22nd, and I've been here almost every day since then. So
Right.
yeah, just a few
And
months.
have you ever taken coursework in how to run and how to work in a kitchen or be a chef, or are you just learning on the job?
No, this job is very learn as you go. So I've learned quite a bit, but it's definitely been just figuring it out every day. So
Fantastic.
yeah, but I did learn. I've watched a lot of vegan YouTube videos. That's honestly such a great resource, and shows like this really have kind of helped me personally, like outside of work, figure out what I want to eat, how I can get my nutrients, because it's not really a common thing that you would learn in school. So yeah.
Well, you're getting great comments from our viewing audience. Everybody
Oh,
really
thank
liked
you.
it.
I wish I could see them.
I was impressed with your kitchen finesse, and we do hope that you'll come back on the show.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been lovely. I would love to.
I'm going to encourage everyone, if you've got the time now, and if you've made some dishes, do take a photo for us and send it in to us. We love to feature your photos on our site. And Adriana wants to see what you did, because she's going to get more ideas, and she wants to see how she can make it even better. I thought everything you did was really beautiful and packed with flavor.
Thank you.
And I encourage you to continue down this field, because you've got a natural talent.
Thank you. I intend to do so. So
Good.
This is a nice little start, and I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
Great job, Adriana. That was amazing. I love the colors and the variety of the flavors. Very seasonal, in this fall period here. And just want to thank everybody for spending this time with us and making healthy raw vegan food